This is in weird order. So, this review brought to you by Linsoul. They did not send these to me for free, but what they did is they allowed me to purchase these for a very reasonable price and allowed me to actually review them within my budget's limitations. Okay, now back into whatever the hell it was I was talking about, because this is getting mixed in a weird way. Hey there, hi there. Welcome back, my beautiful children. We're going to be doing something a little bit different. I can't do the voice through the rest of this review. I kind of hurt my throat a little bit. It's been kind of dry as of late. So we're going to calm down that just a little bit. I really don't want to destroy my throat all that much. So this will be one of the very, very few instances of a review that will not be in the Farsil voice. So I do apologize that I haven't been able to keep up the character in this particular one. I also apologize if the video is kind of strange, because I'm getting used to a new phone, as I'd mentioned in the prior videos. So, yeah. How do I sound, baby? Sumptuous, lovely, kind of derpy. They call me Farsil. The case does not belong to these particular in-ear monitors. I know this is probably like a system shock to some of you. And yes, I do still promise that I am definitely from the south-central part of the United States. I don't talk with a southern drawl all that much because it takes away from my intelligence. Most people think I'm just some dumbass hick when I speak with my southern drawl. So, that and very few of us actually do speak with that on the regular, believe it or not. I also happen to enjoy a lot of not US-based media, so my accent is actually kind of all over the place, and I just incorporate shit that amuses me. Actually, if you all tuned in for the stream where I'd repair the DT880s, I'm sorry, the DT990 Pros, I actually did all but 30 minutes of that 6-hour stream in my normal voice. So, this is going to be one of the few moments as winter progresses along, because we're actually getting a real fall. Go figure. Here in the south. So it's been extra specially dry lately, and my throat is not tolerating it. My sinuses are putting up a fight for dear fucking life, and it is entirely way too quiet. So we're gonna have some music from Christodoulou, the guy that made the Risk of Rain 1 and 2 soundtracks. Please go check them out over in bandcamp.com. Buy his albums. His music is amazing. I'm not sponsored by him, but he wants to make sure that whoever is using his stuff mentions it. I don't have a way to integrate exactly what I'm playing, so Chris, if this upsets you, please let me know, and I'll never ever ever do it again. Please just don't ask me to change the audio, because then I'd have to re-record the video. But I digress. Absolutely love his music. Just, yeah, go check it out. Risk of Rain 2, totally great games, even better music. So, with all that being said, into the doldrums. I know that's the one from the intro. The demo reel, really. The track of the monitor. So, I have had these for an exceedingly long period of time. That's awfully loud, isn't it? I have had this for an exceedingly long period of time. Maybe about a year, plus or minus. And for the life of me, I just could not figure out what it was that I did or did not like about these. And like I've mentioned before, my job is due diligence. and I felt like if I was going to give these a relativistically bad review or a negative review, whereas a lot of the overwhelming opinions of these are good, there was something I was doing wrong. I needed to figure that out, and I didn't have as much of a filled-out kit. Using my V50, LG V50 cell phone at the time, I sense already my voice cannot keep up. Holy shit, my throat fucking hurts. So yeah, the audio might be a little extra specially wonky this time around, so I'm so very sorry. I was trying to get into my menu to make my screen brighter, and I made it go to the home screen. So yes, if you notice a lot of weird light to dark, dark to light sort of thing going on, this is me trying to adjust to my new phone. I really do very much need to get a proper camera. So, some people call it Shozy, S-H-O-Z-Y. I call it Shozy, because Fozzie Bear. Yes, I grew up on the Muppets. These are an interesting in-ear monitor. As I had mentioned before, I could not, in good faith, review these without feeling like I somehow did something wrong in the due diligence department, and that upset me greatly because these were actually, they would hover from really awesome to not so awesome to really great to not so great, and there was just a weird roller coaster of emotions I was going through. As of late, I think I've finally figured them out, and as you saw in my quick little update video about the 95X, I own Stax now, the Lambda Spirit Pro, or Lisp. Name the Spirit Pro. Sorry. Yeah, that was pretty bad, huh? Those have an insane amount of detail. It's unfucking fair how truly amazing they sound, especially in the terms of the speed and the detail. And these at work, when you jump through a few hoops, offer me a similar no, not a similar experience. They scratch part of that itch that I have when I cannot satiate myself with my Stax, or my 95X, or my Ether CX, or my 6XX. Any of the things that I have that are rich with detail. These scratch that itch now better than my Dunmer Pros that I so very much love for honestly understandably different reasons now that I'm grasping the whole concept better. These are very much source dependent, but what they are more sensitive and dependent about is the tip, believe it or not. The tips that I really and truly enjoy on a slew of my monitors, in-ear monitors, are the weird squishy silicone tips that it comes with. And that is actually part of why I don't like the Neo CPs. They fuck with the sound, and not in a way that I like. Now this has two different nozzles. These have the regular... just regular tip. You could call it the treble tip, but the treble nozzle, but it's really not it. Let's see if I can take this off without the mesh coming off, because as I have used these, I have sweated a lot, and they don't always... Oh my god, I got lucky. Son of a bitch. So, no acoustic treatment, just a fine mesh. Now, that is a Knowles BA damper in there. That is either a gray or a white. So basically those, either one would be either the lightest impedance or the next lightest impedance of damper available. Now there is another tip in here that is their bassy tip. And what I would call it is the detail roller, but sibilance destroyer. Now, let's see if I can do this without fucking myself over. Oh, this is gonna suck so bad. Wait, can I? Oh, God, I'm a fucking redneck genius. Yeah, baby. Notice that on the inside there. That has a interesting texture, does it not? Well, let's try to flip it on over. And this part, I can actually just do it like this. There is a pattern to the mesh, and it is definitely tuning. It is impeding the sound in some way and looking at light through it. And yes, you can actually use that as a trick to figure out if it's more or less dampening, is how much transmission of light is going through it. This is actually it's something they use in the chemical field. It's a UV-VIS or UVT, ultraviolet transmission test. It's also used in turbidimetric readings or readings for turbidity. How turbid or cloudy something is they measure the amount of light that passes through to the other side from the emitter to the sensor via the sample. And as it turns out, with dampening material, you can do quite a similar fashion in some instances, at least with foams or meshes, is the more UV transmittance, the more UVT you get, and I really shouldn't say transmittance, the more light transmissions. TLV, through light transmittance. There we go. This is the TLT. God, I can't even get fucking letters and acronyms right. Y'all come back now here. You see, I'll tell you what, I can do them letters sure right prop. God damn. I'm really just trying to bang this out. I'm not even going to lie. My throat hurts. TLT, through light transmittance, or through light transmissibility. It could be, and now there might actually be a real test name for this, but that's what I'm going to call it. You can actually tell how much of an impedance there is for audio relativistically. It's not a go-to, but it's a nice rule of thumb sort of concept. So with those on the squishy tips, it really did help with some of the sibilance and some of the shout, but it did, now that I am at where I am at and I am more of a detail whore, I noticed it would actually take a lot of the detail away, and that kind of bothers me. The foam tips would significantly warm that up and roll even more of the detail, regardless of the tip. You could just imagine that more detail would be rolled with the base tip. The Mikosido tips, which seem to be out of stock all over the fucking place. The Mikosido tips have had a bit of an issue with staying in stock in places. Focus, you fuck. Focus, you fuck. Focus. Fine, fuck you. That is a tip option. So far, my absolute favorite has been, again, the ePro horn-shaped tips. Silicone tips that are graphene doped. The cable itself that it comes with is perfectly fine. I have heard of a few issues with the MMCX not being the best, but all in all, it is a nice feeling, pretty manageable cable that has minimal microphonics. It's a good cable that it comes with. I do wish it was all silver rather than a silver-copper hybrid, but they're at least smart in the sense that they are... It looks like 2 bundles per thing of copper and silver, so they're probably having 1 silver bit, 1 copper bit go to one terminal, and 1 silver bit, 1 copper bit going to the other terminal, if I had to make a guess that they were being intelligent. And seeing as this is Shozy, so far as I can tell, they went that extra mile, because it does sound pretty good. But I do like my Dunu DUW02 cable on it significantly more. It's also a much better connection. Like that catch and hold system that Dunu has, fantastic. So we're a little past 10 minutes. I do apologize for the go no go. Now that I've given some backstory to these, some backdrop, some what I feel is essential knowledge, and then we'll go back to the tips real quick. Yes. Fuck me. These are most definitely a go, if the caveats I'm going to cover, because there's always caveats. Come on, you know me by now, my children. There's always caveats. What if the following caveats, and the way the sound signature that I will describe to you, I will wordcraft for you, as I always do, appeals to you? I will tell you as of right now with the chain I'm going to discuss. These are impressive to me. Will they be impressive to someone like inToit? I don't know, but they're being sent to him relativistically soon. So we'll get to see if I'm up to snuff or if this is just a one-off measure. I don't honestly know, but I enjoy them. So yes, these get a tentative to exceedingly yes, good, go. Even though these are old, they get a go. Versus my Voyager 3s, which we will discuss in a later video. I like these significantly more than the Voyager 3s, but they are a bit more expensive. So, yes. There's your go, no go. Back to the tips really quick. I would have talked about the biflange that are included, but I can't use them. Yeah, no, they don't fit for... they don't fit for shit on me at all. So, yeah. Take it how you want. Okay, so before we get into the bass, I'm going to explain my chain a little bit better. I have the ES100, the Channeling Up 4, the Q2Lix 5K. Thanks, Ken. Fucking love that thing, bro. Dude, you are a badass. And my LG V60. For all intents and purposes, the audio impressions will pretend I'm talking about the V60, but in actuality, I would actually be talking about the V50. Because the V60 is, like I've hammered on, very new. So my current chain consists of my V60 and the Q2Lix 5K with my DUW02 cable, which I do think actually helps a little bit. It takes the cable out of the equation in terms of sound and just delivers them dancing magic pixie things to the drivers. These most certainly benefit from a balanced throughput. Again, like I've discussed before, it's because of the additional voltage. Now, I've actually talked with MRS. I guess that's his Discord name. I've talked with Superstar Reviews. Or Super Asterisk Reviews? I really don't know how you pronounce it. Cool dude, though. Really like him. He did the same thing I did, and we both found out that these things are current and voltage hungry. If you can make these things move along their X-Max traversal more, there is not a diminished return in sound. All you have to worry about is the output impedance, the inductance, and maybe not the inductance, but definitely the capacitance going on. And then just whatever the amplifier sounds like along with the DAC. So with that particular chain, oh, and these ePro horn tips, specifically these end up coming up with a sound that is awesome. Right. I was talking about Superstar. So he had tested by cranking everything up on his EQ. No, everything down on his EQ, and then having to crank the volume up higher, thereby forcing more voltage. Or amping them harder because he was having to kick the gain up higher. And he did notice that they became bassier. They became more lively. The sound signature became a bit wetter, a bit more moist in the textural regions of the sound, or the textural, what's the word I'm looking for? Presentation. The textures, the presentation and texture of the sound became more noticeable. And it just was more fun. And I will vehemently agree with that assessment. Just know that these are behemothly bassy for being a triple BA in-ear monitor. Yeah, I probably should have mentioned that way more early on. My bad. But that was being ran off of the Zencan non-signature amp. Balanced. That amplifier has a fuck ton of bass throughput. It do the bass exceedingly well. Christodoulou's Risk of Rain soundtrack, Risk of Rain 1 specifically. Again, thanks Chris for making amazing music. These are with the right tips and the right chain and something that can absolutely dump voltage. My DX160 couldn't perform well enough. The only thing so far that has done a good enough performance for my liking has been the Q-Lix 5K, but it can do 4 volts RMS over total output, total RMS of 4 volts. So each channel gets 2 volts rather than the normal high gain being 1 volt per channel, 2 total RMS, if I remember how that works. If that's not how it works and it's actually double that, then well, double that, but this is how I think that actually works. These have been my go-to with this particular setup. Those tips, the non-bassy tips, the non-bassy nozzles, on anything that just dumps the fucking voltage. These are fantastic. So now we're 20 fucking minutes in. This is going to be edited down, so it's not actually going to be 20 minutes on your end, but it is from me. The bass. It is BA bass to a T. However, it's the type of BA bass that is... it's exceedingly fast. It's faster and maybe a bit more, if I'm using this word correctly, dithered. It's more... decayed than planar magnetic bass. Planar, not planar. Look it up. It honestly kind of reminds me almost of the Lambda Spirit Pros, or the Lisp. It's very... you hear the frequency more than you hear the pressure wave itself. And when you can really and truly crank a bitch ton of voltage through it, it suddenly turns these things into amazing. The problem is, and why I kept harping on those tips specifically, is all the other options don't do that. The stock white tips, the mushy mushies, they don't focus it enough. They open it up and it doesn't... they work, but they play against it. The horn design helps naturally amplify it without adding that EQ'd sound to the bass region, which is honestly something really hard to achieve. The foam tips roll a lot of the detail and made them sound exceedingly dark. And again, I haven't been able to try the biflange, and I could try triflange, but I don't really like the way those fit, to be honest. The Micositos kind of did the same thing as a mix between the foams in that it warms them up, but it also has the negatives of the mushy mushies. The silicone tips is that it fucks with the rest of it, and it just, in the end, is not good enough. The bass detail on these is surprisingly high. It is not bass head bass. It's not even quite bass aficionado bass. It is the kind of bass that... it's somewhere in between. It is thumpy, it is fun. These things can easily reach down to the 40 hertz region, even parts of the 32 region, as we may or may not have heard on that particular track that I decided to demo. They are exceedingly impressive in the bass. The mids feel kind of pushed up. They don't feel nearly as recessed as they may graph, and I haven't checked the graph in a long time. But the vocals, male vocals, female vocals, all have this delightful reedy quality to them, which makes sense because they are all it's a triple balanced armature design. So it just has this natural reedy quality to things. But it doesn't sound brittle. They don't sound hollow. They do sound not quite as meaty as on a planar magnetic or on a dynamic, but it doesn't sound hollow or brittle or overly metallic, which can be an issue, I've heard. They are nice. It's satisfying mids, and the detail retrieval in the mids and in the bass is what you pay for at almost $200. What you pay for. So the mids have, for $200, they have a very nice, almost rich detail. Not warm and wet rich, but definitely a warmer and still yet somehow rich and, for me, relatively fulfilling in spite of the reediness, the somewhat thinness to it. This goes also with the bass. There is a satisfaction to it, and it's really hard to explain. It's really one of those things you'll just have to hear. Moving into the treble range, and this is part of why I've been so on these tips, and why I've called them my stopgap for my stacks while I'm at work, is part of the weird things, part of the weird detail that I can hear with the stacks, like with System of a Down. You don't notice that the mic is struggling to keep up with their percussion, especially in the cymbal and the hi-hat region. But these, you hear that. You hear visages of it, tellings of it, but it doesn't expressly lay it out like the Lisp does. The Lisp just lays that shit flat the fuck out. I actually thought something was a little bit wonky with the signature, and then I listened to other songs with cymbals and hi-hats, and no, it's definitely the way it was recorded. You get visages of that in these. What these lack in the treble spectrum is the overall air spectrum of the treble gamut. It is not 100% lacking, but it is definitely deteriorated. It's not deteriorated. That is a wholly improper term. Dithered. It sounds almost divergent, lacking. There is that upper piercing sparkle that would normally be present that these lack. And that's a downside. That's what I'm still hungering for. It doesn't present a airy, not an airy signature, but it does present notes of air. More that I would call it a breathy sort of sound. It is definitely a breathy treble without it being airy. It lacks that ephemeral sparkle, that sharp, piercing sparkle that is normally indicative of a really crisp treble region. It is still very crisp, and I don't personally catch notes of brittleness or too much of a metallic sheen, if really much at all of a metallic sheen on these. Now, within the treble and parts of the mids, I do notice with all of the stock options, even the foams to some extent, there are issues with sibilancy. Sibilancy? Is that even a word? There are issues with sibilance. Plosives not so much, but definitely some T's, but more on the S. The S's definitely pull forward. The foam tips help out a bit. The bass tips help out even more, but as I've mentioned before, they roll a lot of the detail, and I don't really enjoy that now. You may enjoy it if you don't care so much about the detail and care more about the signature. It would help emboss more of the mids and lows, or the mids and the bass. But the tips, what they do is they add this nice layering effect to the treble, and it just sounds so naturally in place. It doesn't sound digitally put in like a DSP or an EQ. It just comes across as this is the treble, and it's delightful. The detail extraction is for the price, in my opinion, from what I've experienced so far, even though you kind of have to go out of your way to really put these on some interesting sources that you wouldn't normally think would pair well with these, is actually surprisingly great. The technicalities on these is, it doesn't leave me starving for more. I would ask for more, but I'm not starving. I'm not suffocating. There is no sensation of being left out from the mix. The overall sound is a bit warmish, yes, and it has that prototypical thinness overall, yes, but there's still this almost guilty, not quite sensual, but guilty satisfaction off of these that I absolutely adore, from treble to bass and back again. And these tips help out the most with that, because with the other tip options, everything becomes brittle and shouty, and it's not fun. And I believe I've reiterated on that and become far too redundant, so let's move into the next sector. Stage. Stock tips, it's blobby. It tries to come across as wide, but it's not wide, nor is it deep, nor is it really tall. And on really well-mixed music, you may not notice this to be the case. It may actually be the opposite, but in my particular case, electronica, metal, so on and so forth, I notice this more so. Stock tips are just, they're good on other things, they're not good on these, and that's unfortunate for $200. But the rest of the package is exceedingly a really good deal, considering the tips I'm going to tell you that I will personally say must be on them are $14. You could order both and have it prime shipped to you, as far as I understand it. Totally worth. With the ePro horn-shaped tips, what happens is the stage goes from blobby to in a weird cardioid conical shape, and I get sensations of both. There is a nice tight center image. There might be a bit of a divergence or deviation in the stage outside of the center image, which is like dead in the head, maybe like sub-ear level. There might be some vagueness after that point, but outside of that point, it's a nice broad cone. With these tips, it also has a delightfully delicious amount of depth to them. Honestly, kind of heady and addictive, in my personal opinion. Level of depth to them and layering. It's just, oh man, it doesn't. These tips are meant to take away some of the peakiness, and boy does it do that. And it also somehow manages to reorganize the layering and the stage and the imaging placement, and it makes it so much more cohesive, so much more less homogenized. There is a distinct lack of homogeneity with the stage and the overall sound presentation versus the stock tips that is just, like I said, it's borderline addictive. The imaging quality is really on par for the price once these tips are put on. And again, this is just me. You may not experience this. These are all my findings. But the imaging quality feels great. Is it the tallest? No. Is it the widest? Not precisely. It is still reasonably tall, reasonably wide for triple BAIEM, using hacks, physics hacks. It's great. But there's this great, almost etherealistic depth to them that I just didn't realize that they could almost fool me into saying that they're a semi open back with the type of depth, or the openness-ish of the depth to the stage. Now, are they super far-reaching? No. They're still very much creating a very simulated room around your head. but they're doing kind of, honestly, what the GT3 Super Bass did for me is, oh my god, did I say these were fucking awesome? They're goddamn fantastic. They're offering a stage presentation, an imaging presentation I wasn't originally getting. And it's all the tips. And it's all the source. And they just... God, I know I sound scatterbrained, and it's because I'm doing this off the cuff, and I'm trying to get this out as fast as I can, and I'm not doing a very good job. I'm very much out of practice. My fault, I know. All in all, I maybe reserve your judgment for when inToit gets these, because these will be sent to him. These are his tips. Well, maybe the other box, if the box looks better. But he's going to have the same tips. The only thing he won't have is the Q X5K, which I will urge him vehemently to buy. That or put these on something with a large voltage out. The closest might be the THX amp, or maybe one of the Geshelli options. I don't know, I'll talk to him. If I have to send him something, I will. But otherwise, maybe reserve your judgments for when he gets his hand on it. All I know is I enjoy them. I would personally suggest them for what I have done to them. And even though you may not be able to run them balanced initially, something like the ZenCan amp, even over single-ended, still does a ridiculous amount of voltage, and it helps. It's not 100% necessary, but I find that it definitely helps. I know I so deviated from the whole imaging and stage placement, but I can't help it. These have delighted me. I've had them for a year or so now, maybe longer, and they have utterly, totally fascinated me now and delighted me that I am going to be a little bit depressed to see them go. Fortunately, I have some other devices that have been sent over to me, or that I have that I need to finish up anyway. I think... Oh! Right. I didn't really get into it initially. These have a really nice left-right indicator. Blue-colored epoxy resin, or medical resin of some kind. Red, but it looks more pink. It's kind of cute. MMCX. One of the better quality ones. The cable, again, is not the best, so maybe if you're buying these and you have the money, DUW02 cable with the MMCX. Do it. Trust. Why? Because the ZenCan amp has 4.4, and this has a 4.4 detachable. Have I sold you on this cable yet? No? Try it. 100% worth it, even though I got it thanks to Linsoul's deal with me. Oh my god. What would be $100 for you to buy this cable and one of the balanced adapters, because it comes with a 3.5mm. 100% worth it. Maybe not in up front, but yeah. But yes, anyway. Great left and right indicator. You can see straight to the balanced armatures. You have a high, you have a mid, and you have a fucking massive low. I mean, holy shit, that is huge. Here's a 4.4. Here's a 2.5. It's really big. And I know it may not be quite that big because the resin is fucking with the picture, but no, they're massive. Three different sound tubes that go and homogenize into that Knowles damper, which I think really helps with unifying the sound, in which the tips and the nozzle take over from there. The fit is, if you like a Shure fit, you'll like the Neo CP fit, for damn certain. The only downside is this is a truly fully sealed in-ear monitor. These are kind of dangerous if you're using tips that create a perfect seal like these silicones. So put them in, and if you feel any pressure or anything like that, you stop. You don't go any deeper. If you put them in too far, and let's say you have this sort of drop of water in the ear sensation, smile really big, lift your ears up, or pull the top of your ear, and just kind of See, like that? Just kind of push it up and reseat it. Just push it up, break the seal, and reseat it. And let it sit there. Let it do its thing. And then you're good. That's it. You're done. The only downside to these tips, and I would say maybe get some Mod Podge, figure out which nozzle you like the most. Get some Mod Podge, or maybe one of those crimp rings, and crimp ring these fucking things on there, because when you put them in your pocket, these come off. If you pull them out of your ear funny, these come off. Now, fortunately, they don't sit super deep, and these are the mediums. The basier of them, of the tips. They don't go super deep into mine. So if you buy these tips and you find that these go super deep, maybe try the larger ones. Get a more shallow fit. Get a larger stage out of the mix. Man, I think I've covered everything. Holy crap. That was kind of batshit all over the fucking place. And this is really long. Oh, nope. Use the case it comes with. Like, take all the accoutrement out. You don't need all that. Keep your extra ePro horn tips in there. And use the case. Seriously, use the case. Ravel them up, put them in the case, and put that in your pocket. Get a smaller case if need be. But if you are using these tips, don't leave these in your pocket. They will come off. They have in my case, and it's driving me insane. But because I'm going to send it over to inToit, I can't super glue these in, because yes, I would super glue them in. Or I would not Mod Podge, Sugru. Yeah, not Mod Podge, Sugru. Some type of additional something to force this on and make it latch on more. Alright. That is my second review back-to-back. Third video back-to-back, and it is entirely long, and it is going to get cut down. It's still going to be way too long, but man, I absolutely adore these in-ear monitors. They scratch that itch, and they are right there with my Dunmer Pros in terms of belovedness, and the ADV Fudai, right there, along with my belovedness of them. I would call these a fair deal for the price. I would suggest you to these for those, if nothing else, with just these tips, and still say that that is a fair experience on most anything you could pair them with. Within reason. Yeah, within reason. I'm not gonna make a sweeping guarantee. Not going to make a sweeping guarantee, but I would say that I've yet to find something I don't like these on yet. That's the type of sound I'm getting. So I'm gonna shut the fuck up, stop rambling, get the things out in the mail that need to be sent out. So I will see you all later, my beautiful children. Sorry for the weird video where it's not my normal Farsil wizardly voice, but my throat hurts like a motherfucker. Have a beautiful morning, and a lovely afternoon, a pleasant evening. May you travel far and wide within the realm of your dreamscape, so long as it leads you back to me, your favorite, the great wizard, Farsil. Join the Discord, dammit. I get lonely sometimes. I'll see you all in the next video. Poof. Oh wait, nope, not poof. Let me know what you think, if you've made it to the end. I may do more videos with my normal voice, if it's actually factually truly preferred. Now don't get me wrong, I'm still going to be Farsil the Wizard. That character is not going away, but if y'all are more accepting of it, I won't stress my throat out nearly to the extent that I have been in the past, to the point where it really, legitimately horses me and it hurts me. I'm already feeling some of the hoarseness. So, let me know what y'all think, and I wouldn't mind doing more videos, maybe like in every other type of thing. So yeah, now poof, poof.